Welcome on into Second Round Syndrome, your talk for the Philadelphia 76ers and the NBA. I'm your host, DJ Sports Zone. With me, as always, is my co-host, Jordan Sabel. How's it going, dude?
What's up, everyone? Welcome on in the show. Let's talk some Sixers basketball. 3-game win streak, a lot looking forward and looking bright.
Yeah, I'm actually glad we took a little bit of a break. If you didn't know, right in the Philadelphia area, we got hit with a massive snowstorm. And I'm kind of glad we didn't do the show then because it would have been a very negative show talking about the Sixers because past the trade deadline, they were 1-5. Joel Embiid was out. They just couldn't win a game. It just couldn't happen, right? Especially after that Phoenix Suns game. We didn't know if Joel Embiid was going to play again for the rest of the season. They were saying it's shin soreness, and we're like, oh no, here we go again. But then Joel Embiid returns. Luckily, before his return, they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. But then, once he does return, they have a blowout win against the Indiana Pacers. And then they have a nice back and forth battle with the Miami Heat, which was an important win just because now they tie that series with the Miami Heat not too far from them in the play-in tournament. Right now, the 76ers, they're 33-26. They're sixth in the Eastern Conference, right? February is now over for the 76ers. The next game they play is this upcoming Sunday against the Boston Celtics, which is a huge game because this really decides the series here. I'm so glad that Joel Embiid is back because it's so frustrating watching this team play without him, Jordan. They are so incompetent. And I think we got tricked at the beginning of the season where we saw, okay, they're winning 4 games in a row. I think they were 5-1 in the beginning of the season. We're like, okay, maybe they can get somewhere with that Joel Embiid. Then he does return. And they won 5 games in a row before, I think it was before the trade deadline. That might have been either right before, it was around the time when Paul George ended up getting the suspension. But I think the Sixers got used to playing with him, which they need to, right? He is the centerpiece of their offense and their defense. He's not just a player where you could just plug him in. He's not just some random role player. Like Paul George, for example, at this stage of Paul George's career, you could just plug him in and I think he'll be a benefit, right? Or if he's out for, in this case, 25 games, I think the Sixers can survive. Joel Embiid's just not the same case. They're already a horrible rebounding team with him. So you take out a 7-footer who is arguably one of the best players in the entire league when he's healthy. You take him out and you also take out his scoring where right now he's averaging around 27 points per game. Not only do you take that out, but you have to rely on your other players such as your Kelly Oubre, who by the way has been playing very well the last several games. You have to rely on your Quentin Grimes. You have to rely on Cam Payne, who just recently joined the Sixers and hasn't been very good so far. You have to rely on Trendon Watford. Right? If you have Joel Embiid averaging 27 points per game, if you have Tyrese Maxey, who's giving you almost 30 points a game, right, on top of what you're going to get from BJ, Oubre, and Grimes, you're more likely to win those games. It's just so painful. It's so painful watching this team play without him. And now that he's back, it's just fun watching basketball again, right? They're actually winning games. Now, if you want to break down the Miami Heat game, which we're going to do, right, that first half was incredible. Let's first talk about Tyrese Maxey, who passed Allen Iverson and is now the franchise leader in 3-pointers made. Like, how incredible is that, Jordan?
I mean, we were talking about this earlier. He's only in his 6th year in the league. I mean, in terms of time and like minutes played, he's always been at the top of that. So his production for getting 3-pointers has always been huge. So for him to now hit this and kind of break Sixers franchise record, it's insane. And he's got such a long career left in front of him. Hopefully he will retire with the Sixers, and I would hope that would be the end goal for Tyrese. But obviously it's so bright looking forward to watching him for many more years, and for him to have already broken this record, it's insane, and it's a testament to his growth in the league, and to be able to come and step in a time where Sixers were changing back then, and to be the bright spot when we've been without Embiid in past seasons, for him to just be like the bright spot. And this is just a testament to his character and his ability. And congrats to him. And He'll be making a lot more threes in a Sixers jersey for the future.
Yeah, he's going to be here for a long, long time. I know, I'm sure Mavs fans said the same thing about Luka Doncic, but I really feel when Joel Embiid called Tyrese Maxey the franchise, he meant that, right? And I know what people are saying about this of, oh, it was a different game back then when Allen Iverson played. Yeah, true. But it's still an incredible achievement that within 6 years, Tyrese Maxey passes the franchise record. Allen Iverson is the franchise player, right? When you think of the 76ers, right, I'm sure some people might go to Dr. J or Moses Malone or Charles Barkley. But I think the majority of Philadelphia, they automatically go to Allen Iverson. I mean, this whole season is based around that 2001 team that went to the finals, right? They even wore, ironically, Tyrese Maxey wore the black jersey when he broke this record, which I think makes it even more incredible just witnessing this moment. I mean, in that first quarter, he wanted that record so bad. I mean, he had 21 points just in that first quarter, and he hit 5 of those threes. I mean, he couldn't miss. And like his teammates were celebrating him. It just was great. And then on top of that, you had Joel Embiid, who I thought had a great game as well. I mean, Tyrese Maxey is becoming such a great passer. I mean, he had 28 points, 11 assists, 5 steals and a block. Joel Embiid, 26 points, 11 rebounds. I mean, it just was incredible to see. That second quarter in particular, I mean, they outscored Miami 37-22. They got absolutely nothing from Norman Powell, who's had an incredible season, by the way. I mean, he only had, I believe it was like 3 points. He did exit the game early, and I believe he's out for at least a week with a groin injury now. But that second quarter was incredible. When they got to the third quarter, that's when, as per usual, it all fell apart. I mean, they were getting outplayed by Bam Adebayo, what you expect. I mean, Bam's a great player. He did have 29 points in that game. But some of these other players like Andrew Wiggins, no offense to Andrew Wiggins, but that dude has not been relevant since the Warriors won the championship back in 2022. You're getting outplayed by Wiggins. You're getting outplayed by Jaime Jaquez. Like, that's just a problem. You had a 16-point lead going into halftime. 16. And you blow that going into the third quarter. I mean, Miami outscored you 34-26. Like, I don't understand. And I know we keep saying this every single show, but it just baffles me. And it's so funny watching the broadcasts, and Ala Abdelnaby and Kate Scott are just like, here we go. Here's the third quarter. We just know it's coming. Like, you just can't expect a good third quarter. I mean, it's just ironic when they do have a good third quarter at this point.
It's too predictable every single game. I mean, there's probably been a couple times this season where at least it's been a tolerable third quarter where, maybe a trading baskets, but I'd have to look up this stat, but when was the last time we won the third quarter in a game?
I don't know when it wasn't too long ago. I know the answer to this. It was the Indiana Pacers
it would be
game.
the game before, right?
Yeah.
But like in a competitive game.
Right. I mean, it's probably been a bit since that's happened. I don't know if they won it against the Timberwolves. I would have to look. Maybe I'll do that in a second here. But I mean, the Sixers, I just don't know what they got to do at this point. They shouldn't even go into the locker room. Like, they should just be the halftime show and have a scrimmage out there. I don't know what needs to happen. But the good thing is this team is resilient, right? They have players that can make big plays, in particular Tyrese Maxey. Going into that fourth quarter with less than 3 minutes to go, Miami finally took its first lead. Tyler Herro hits this huge three, which Tyler Herro has been coming off the bench recently. He's barely played just because of injury, but he comes in. It's a big three-pointer. They're up. But then the Sixers finally turn on the Jets, both offensively and defensively. You have Tyrese Maxey, who hits 2 free throws, and he was so motivated to get those free throws just because the refs missed, an obvious call early on. I know that ended up in a Dembona putting that ball back into the hoop with the dunk, but Maxey was still pissed. He was so mad that he got a tech for it, which it's so rare to see Tyrese Maxey, who looks like the happiest guy on planet Earth, get a technical foul. He's gotten a few this year. I just think that's because he's become more competitive, which you need that in Tyrese Maxey. But he got those 2 free throws. And then immediately after, he finds Kelly Oubre, who, as I've said, has been very solid on this team the last several games. I mean, he had 21 points in this game, by the way. He shot 8 of 13 from the field, 3 of 5 from three. He finds Kelly Oubre for three, right? I believe they're up at that point, 121 to 117. And then Joel Embiid. And VJ Edgecombe actually recently just said this in an interview. I believe it was right after the game. But the media has pointed out for a long, long time that Joel Embiid does not want to be out there. And I've said it many, many times that is just blasphemy. It's not true. Joel Embiid was dealing with a rib injury. He gets hit in the rib, right? He's sitting on the bench for majority of that fourth quarter. And then out of nowhere, he gets back into the game. Tyrese Maxey finds him in the corner, and he hits a huge three to put the game away. And it just was incredible to see. That right there should shut up those people that think Joel Embiid does not want to be out there. He just gets injured all the time. That's the problem. It's not his will to be out there. I mean, Embiid would play all 82 games if he physically could do it. I mean, he even got whacked in the face again in this game, and I was going, oh, no, not again. I don't need another Phantom of the Process, but luckily he was okay there.
I swear, he goes to war every game he plays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy is on the ground. I mean, I'm not saying like that's a bad thing. I mean, he'll draw fouls. He's always looking for contact in a good way. But I mean, that takes a toll on his body, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So the way he plays and the way he has played in more recent seasons, I mean, probably the doctors probably don't like it. You know, he's got to protect himself and his body, but he goes to war every game he plays. He's always physical, trying to get the ball, trying to get loose balls or drawing fouls and always drawing contact. So it's just a part of the way he plays. And it's just kind of, he plays in a Philly mentality, you know, hard nosed, blue collar attitude. And we like that. But yeah.
Yeah, and this was their first big win really since Embiid's return. Obviously, again, there was the Minnesota game before he returned, but you got to look at who was playing that game. I mean, they didn't have Rudy Gobert. He was out due to suspension. Naz Reid was out due to injury. That's kind of part of the reason why, because they didn't really have a big man there. I mean, they were playing Julius Randle most of the time at center. I mean, they had some young player, forget what his name is. They tried playing him a lot at center, but he was getting in foul trouble, which is why Julius Randle had to spend a lot of time in that center position. And, you know, Randle, I mean, he can defend, but when you're going against Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, it's just very tough to do that. But now, obviously, you're playing against a great defensive center in Bam Adebayo, who's upped his offensive game, too. I mean, I couldn't imagine a world where Bam was shooting threes even just a year ago. I mean, he's nailing the three really well. I mean, in this game in particular, shot 4 of 8 from three. That's impressive for a guy who's not shot many threes in his career. So, I mean, Miami is always going to play hard no matter what. Even, you know, when they had Jimmy Butler, even after now, I don't believe Miami's going to do anything this season. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to be a threat in the Eastern Conference. But whenever you play against the Miami Heat, it's going to be a battle. Obviously, they lost the first game. I believe they played them back in November. But in that game, they were missing Joel Embiid. VJ didn't even play. I think Oubre was out in that game as well. So it's nice that they came back. They tied the series up. I know they have one more game left to go. If they could win that game, it's huge, especially since they're so close in the standings. I mean, now I believe they're about a game or two out from Toronto. So if they can keep winning games, like this Boston game is so huge, right? And they've been playing so well. I cannot believe it. I remember talking at the beginning of the season. I said that Boston was going to suck, right? Obviously, no Jason Tatum for the year. They traded away big pieces like Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. They lost Al Horford and Luke Cornett. I said there is no way that they're going to be relevant this season, just like the Indiana Pacers, you know, became this season. But Jaylen Brown, I mean, he's on a whole other level. And obviously he's in MVP conversations right now, depending on what happens with all the injuries. I know Nikola Jokic can only miss one more game. Shea, he's returning tonight, actually, but he can only miss, I believe it's 6 more. Wemby's not too far behind from getting out of that race as well. So it might come down to like Cade Cunningham and Jaylen Brown. But he's carrying. Like Derek White, he's a great player. They obviously traded for Vucevic at deadline. But Jaylen Brown is making like $300 million. Right? He's on the Supermax contract. He's one of the highest paid players in the entire NBA. He said, wait a minute, because everyone was counting them out. I could be a number 1 option. I've been a number 2 just because Jason Tatum is that guy as well. But I could be that guy. And he has shown to be doing that. And it blows my mind. They're currently the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. It's going to be a tough matchup. Now, I know the Sixers won 2 of those games early on. They played the Celtics like those first 3 games within the first couple of weeks, it felt like, of the season. It's been a little bit. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. What do you think we're going to see on Sunday at TD Garden?
It's always a tough atmosphere at TD Garden. I feel like that's like the Celtics have always been our bogey team over the past many recent years since we've had Embiid with within the playoffs and just going there either on Christmas Day and things like that. It's always a tough atmosphere, but I think in this season, if Embiid's playing, everyone else is there, full cast and crew. It we should be competitive enough to push forward. Again, the third quarter is going to be a talking point. If they can actually be consistent through that and play 4 quarters of consistent basketball, they will win it. 100%. They will win it. Maybe I'm a homer, but that's just the way I feel.
Yeah, I mean, and we already won that first game. It was actually the first game of the season. I mean, that's when they were going that 4-0, but we already won that first game at TD Garden. Again, comparing October to, at that point, March. I mean, it's a whole different world there. VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey actually just recently said this, but VJ Edgecombe seems to shine when the lights are super bright. We saw what he did at Madison Square Garden, right? We've seen what he's done against the Celtics. I don't think VJ is going to be afraid to step it up. And again, if Embiid is available, which I believe he's going to be, we never know. But since Embiid played the last 2 games, they have 2 days off in between. Obviously today, they got tomorrow, and then Sunday they play. I think with that roster, they're going to be just fine. I'm always concerned about the bench scoring. Quentin Grimes has had a couple decent games recently. And I've talked about this past the Jared McCain trade. Like, I just don't think their bench is that good. Campaign, he's a decent player, but I just don't see a world where you're going to get a lot of points from him. You don't need him to score 15 to 20 points, but even if you get 10 points per game from him, like, that's solid. That's basically what you were getting from Jared McCain to begin with. We just haven't seen the shot fall. Now, it's tough because he was playing overseas this whole season. I believe he had like a training camp deal with the Indiana Pacers, and they didn't end up signing him to a long-term deal, at least for the rest of that season. So this is the first time Cam Payne has played in the NBA since he was with the New York Knicks last season. Can he be helpful? I don't know. It's just tough because you need somebody to score. You're relying so heavily on Quentin Grimes, who can look like one of the hottest players one night and look like the worst player on planet Earth the next. And unfortunately, we see that more than most. I mean, he kind of reminds me, and tell me if I'm wrong, Jordan, but he kind of reminds me, I think he's a better version. Let me just be clear. But he reminds me of either Shake Milton or even a Furkan Korkmaz type player, where again, he can look great one night, but then for the next 2 weeks, he's just horrible.
Yeah, and he wants a big contract too. So I honestly, it's not the performance recently has just not been up to par with what his demands are. And obviously, as a player, yes, he's first off the bench just because of he is our best depth piece. Um, but I like your comparisons there to Shake Milton and Korkmaz, both shooters who, I mean, Korkmaz was a spotty shooter, but when he got going, he got going.
Yeah.
And we remember that era was great. Fun to watch. I've had that feeling with Grimes for a bit, but it's never stuck the way Korkmaz did. But ultimately, he is a piece of this puzzle that we do need for him to
Mm-hmm.
come alive. So all I can do is root for him and see how he performs over the rest of the season. Maybe he sneaks his way back in to the starting lineup. I don't think so. Will Nurse play him? Probably not. Probably as a bench piece. But hey, if he wants that big contract, he's got to perform.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when they're all healthy, I think they can be very deep. Obviously, with Paul George, when he returns on March 25th, that's another 15 points per game you add to that, right?
I hope so.
So then there's not as
15
much.
points per game, not every time. I mean, I'd hope he can get us that production.
But here's the thing, Jordan, right? Obviously, again, I'll put Joel and Maxey to the side. You have Paul George, you have Oubre that can get hot, you have VJ that can get hot, Grimes. I mean, any of these guys can get hot on any night. So you don't have to get 15 points from Paul George in a game 3 in the first round, right? If he scores 10 points and you get 15 or maybe even 20 from a Kelly Oubre who gets hot one game, great. I mean, they have so many options that I think can really help this team go. That's why I think the bench is a little, I don't know, like Kelly Oubre will at least get moved. I don't know if they're going to start him or they're going to put him on the bench. It depends what they want to do with Dominic Barlow when Paul George returns. Because again, Barlow is just such a great player to have in that starting lineup. He's that one guy that really hustles, that goes for those rebounds, that plays defense. I mean, I compare him to like a better version of Matisse Thybulle because I think he has more grit than what Matisse was giving you. They're still the same type of shooter. Like Dominic is not a good
The offense
3-point
isn't there.
No,
Both didn't have offense. Both
but
don't.
You don't need him to. You needed at the time Matisse to do that. Now, obviously, Matisse is kind of that. He just actually returned to the Blazers a week ago or so. So it's kind of interesting to see him back. But Barlow, you just need him to get those rebounds, right? You just need him to hustle, play hardcore defense, right? I watched him get all over Kevin Durant a week ago. Like, that's what you need to see from Dominic Barlow, right? I mean, and you kind of have that also in Jabari Walker, who they also just recently converted his contract from a two-way to a standard contract. But it's not the same. Like, Jabari is not as good of a defender, and his shot is even worse than Barlow's. So they're not going to play Jabari too much. I think the only way they do that is if Barlow gets into foul trouble, which happens because that's the player he's going to be. You need him to be aggressive. And if he ends up getting into foul trouble, that's honestly not a problem. I mean, it's the same deal with like a Dembona, right? I mean, you do need him in the playoffs. He's only going to play 5-10 minutes anyways.
He's 6 fouls on the floor. That's what my dad says when we
Yeah.
put in our backup center when I go to Rutgers basketball games. In college it's 5 fouls, but 6 fouls. Just being there to maybe make a shot difficult. If you need to hack them before they get don't let them get an and one, but like hack them, make them earn at the line, like things like that. You can be put in there to take some fouls. Like I said, 6 fouls on the floor. It's put at least have some effort there. The points obviously won't come from him. I'd be shocked if it did, but like I said, he is 6 fouls on the floor. If you put him in, can maybe make a shot more difficult.
Yeah, it always revolves around the health of Joel, right? Paul George,
Right.
at least, again, they're kind of at the point where they don't need Paul George. He's a great addition. He's kind of like on March 25th, he's a buyout candidate, basically, right? You add him to the team, he's only going to make you better, right? And if he plays like crap, you take him out and you put somebody else in. That's kind of the good thing about Paul George, other than obviously what he did to get suspended in the first place. If you can ignore that, obviously we can't right now. But it's going to be interesting to see. They could be a very good team. And as I said, they're only about a game out from getting that 5 seed. Right now, assuming they end as the 6 seed, they would be facing the New York Knicks in a first-round series, which is kind of scary, right? And the series, we ended it in a tie. I don't know how I feel about that. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns, I mean, he has not been great recently. Even Shaquille O'Neal went at him basically in that post-game interview saying, you need to be great, which is true. You need to be great in order for the Knicks to be a contender. And that's absolutely true. But the Sixers have so much room to compete in this Eastern Conference, right? Detroit, they're a dominant force, but they don't have much playoff experience. I still think if I had to pick right now, they're my team to make it to the finals. Not to win, but to get to the finals. Boston, we'll see what happens if Jason Tatum returns, right? If he does return, I think they could even beat Detroit, just based on what Jaylen Brown's been doing, right? New York, I think they've been very sus lately with the play of Karl-Anthony Towns, even a Mikal Bridges and an OG Anunoby. The amount of things they traded for those two players, I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. You can't just rely on Jalen Brunson every single game to carry you, which is what they've done in the past. And then you look at Cleveland Cavaliers, right? The addition of James Harden. And I love it when I'm right. And we don't know. We'll obviously see when the playoffs roll around. But James Harden is already dealing with injuries. I even just got a notification. He's not even playing tonight. I believe the Cavs do play tonight as well. That finger injury, even though it's on his non-shooting hand, is going to be a problem. And I know the James Harden stans are going to say, or make excuses because of that finger injury. I do not care. right? When you add James Harden to your team, you're going to get great games. James Harden is going to make your center look like one of the best big men in the big guys in the NBA, right? He did that with Clint Capella. Obviously, he did that with Joel Embiid. He did that with Ivica Zubac. And now he's doing that with Jared Allen. But I don't believe the Cavs are going to go further than a first or second or the second round. Toronto, I don't know. Toronto's kind of that wild card team to me of maybe they can make a run. I mean, they got decent players, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram. Who knows what they're going to do? But if I put them in a 7-game series against the Sixers, I'm easily taking the Sixers there. But if they can make their way up into that 5 slot, guess who they're facing? The Cleveland Cavaliers, right? I don't have any doubt in Donovan Mitchell, even though Donovan Mitchell has struggled in the playoffs. But when you have James Harden there, I am definitely going to make my way towards picking the Sixers. I
How
think.
great would it be to see him back in South Philly in the
Oh,
playoffs?
that would be. We haven't had that. I mean, we've had
Mhm.
him play regular season games when he played with the Clippers, but you weren't going to see them battle out in the playoffs unless both teams made it to the finals, which we know that would never happen, both on the Clippers side or who knows what the Sixers would have been then. Um, but that just would be so much fun. That's why I'm hoping the first round matchup is, because if that happens, I definitely think they can make it past it. Obviously, it always depends on Joel Embiid's health. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, we're going to talk about, we're going to react to the next couple of games, especially that Celtics game, because that's going to be a huge indicator. I mean, March is going to be a long month. That's kind of the last full month of the NBA before we start getting into the play-in and the playoffs. So we're definitely going to cover that. Before we move on, we got a couple other topics. I want to just do kind of some quick hitters of stuff going on around the league. I want to get Jordan's opinion about that before we wrap up. But before we do, if you love awesome Sixers game reactions, news, please make sure to check out DJ Sports Zone. My socials on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I cover every single Sixers game, so please make sure to check it out and let me know your thoughts. I want to talk about quickly the upcoming NBA draft, specifically one player that I'm sure you could tell us more about. Darren Peterson. The talk of the town, from what I've seen, is Darren Peterson is a phenomenal player, right? But is he worthy of being the number one pick? And we talked about this before we even started recording. This draft in particular, I believe, is very deep, just like we've seen for the past couple of drafts. Minus, what was it, the Ricochet draft? Getting rid of that. But most of these drafts the last couple of years have been very deep. But there's always been that solid number one pick. Victor Wembanyama, no matter what happens, no matter what people think of Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller or like any of these guys, Victor Wembanyama was definitely going to be that number one pick, right? When we look at last year, no matter what your thoughts are on Dylan Harper or VJ Edgecombe, Con Knipple, Ace Bailey, doesn't matter. Cooper Flag, no matter who gets that number one pick, it's him. This draft in particular, it's very deep. But there are so many options, whether you're talking about Darren Peterson, whether you're talking about AJ DeBonsta, whether you're talking about Cam Boozer. But Darren Peterson in particular, he's kind of getting a lot of slack for tapping out of games, right? There was one dominant performance he had the other night where he had a great first half. And as soon as the second half started, he had a big 3-pointer. And the moment he hits the 3, he says, I'm done, right? And we've seen him miss games for cramps and the flu. And there are a lot of teams that see that as maybe a weak point. I mean, I know Stephen A. Smith on First Take said, if I have the number one pick, I would not take Darren Peterson, right? And the question is he going to be one of those players like a Cooper Flag or Victor Wembanyama, or it could be one of the better players in the league in the next couple of years? Or Jordan, is this another potential Ben Simmons situation?
I don't know. We'll have to see. He is definitely the best scorer in college basketball currently, and that's just a fact. Freshman, he's averaging 25.6 points per game. He's a incredible player when he does play his minutes. The game you're referring to played against Oklahoma State. Now, Oklahoma State is not a top contender in the Big 12. Um, Kind of a mid-lowly team in the Big 12. Now the thing is, Darren Peterson will be playing when it comes down to the big games. He will be playing in the Big 12 tournament when that comes up in the next couple weeks. He'll be playing in March Madness for Kansas. If he does not, then there's issues because then I think the best players play in the biggest moments. That way they can prove themselves for when they get into the NBA. Cooper Flag last year played throughout Duke's full run in March Madness. He was not he was not sitting out games for injury. He was playing, he was contributing to the team, he was putting in star performances, which is why he's earned himself being the first pick of the draft and a huge contract in the NBA. Now, Darren Peterson might think, oh, I'm number one in the mock draft. I'm number one this, that. You know, a lot of people are thinking I'm the best player in college basketball, best freshman in college basketball. I'm going to get drafted number one. Well, here's the deal for him. You have to play these games. He might be contracted based on NIL, part of the new college basketball regulations where these players are able to get paid. He might be contracted to play these games. Or there might be he might have something written in his contract where he can sit out a game if he wants to. I don't know. It all that stuff is behind closed doors, things like that. There might be more underneath the covers than we're actually seeing. But when he is playing against the best teams, played against Houston Monday, scored 14 points. I mean, he didn't have the best productive day, but he obviously contributed against the number five team in the country. Houston's an incredible team to play against. They have one of the best defenses in the country. So for him to, he didn't score many points. Obviously, it's not a good testament to his himself as a scorer. But I mean, for he's playing the big games. I think he has to keep playing the big games. No more excuses. If these are real illnesses and real injuries, then sure, I'm fine to give him slack on that. But if he's just sitting out games similar to like a lot of the tanking stories we're seeing where their players are getting injured, then it's not right. And obviously, I'd be careful if I was like one of the top, one of the worst, one of the lesser teams in the NBA this year who are going to have a top pick. I'd be a bit careful. It's kind of like an Ace Bailey situation, in my opinion. I mean, player was incredible, played all of his time, but at Rutgers, but he just his attitude kind of came into play in the draft era. I don't know if that'll be the case for Peterson, but we'll have to see. There's like DJ was saying, there's a ton of other great players in this draft class. It's deep. I'd say it's close to 10 deep in terms of talent and scoring ability. Wherever you look at the top teams, there's a great scorer, and they happen to be a freshman. You look at BYU at Debansa, getting him in there, and he's contributed. Boozer at Duke. I mean, him and his brother are balling over there. Wilson in North Carolina, he's absolutely putting up incredible points. And then my like dark horse, I watch a lot of Big Ten basketball, is Keaton Wagler at Illinois. This dude torched Purdue with 46 points, I believe, in one game. An unbelievable score. He's toned it down a bit, but that was his breakout game. And a lot of these guys have a lot of room for growth, but the scoring is off the charts in this draft, and there'll be a lot to be seen in the future.
Yeah, the question is because what in a normal college season you're playing about 30 games, so
Right.
it's like
Hmm.
if this kid cannot play 30 games in college, how are you going to rely on him to play an 82 game season? Now, I feel like nobody plays 82 games anymore, especially when you're younger. You hope to get close, but you need to be able to rely on him. The last thing you want is in the middle of an NBA game, he goes, I don't feel like continuing, right? And obviously they make up some reason. When your coach can't even fathom why he did this, like that just becomes a problem. That made him look even worse, that the coach had no idea what was going on. The coach didn't even have his back. And I don't know if the coach should have had his back in that moment. I understand that maybe you want to be healthy for the NBA draft, but you got to show these teams what you're made of, because it's very easy in this type of draft that you can drop a couple of spots. You could drop from, 1 to 2 to 3. I mean, we saw Ace Bailey, who was projected to go number 3. He dropped all the way to 5, and he could have gone lower. The only reason why he went 5 is because Danny Ainge of the Utah Jazz called out his bluff and said, we don't care if you want to go to this place or this place. We're taking you anyways. Now, that might have been more his former agent than him. We will never know the full exact story. We weren't there. We don't know these people personally. But because of that attitude, he dropped. I mean, he could have been a Philadelphia 76er, right? And maybe he would have been a great fit. We don't know. I'm very glad that we ended up getting VJ Edgecombe, right? But this is the time to show what you're made of right now. And I hope all these guys succeed, whether you're talking about, Peterson, DeBonsta, any of these guys that you mentioned. And we're definitely going to talk more about these individual guys as we get closer to the NBA draft. But this needs to stop now. I mean, if he's really injured then that's a whole different story. That's a whole other concern in it of itself. But if it's for some other mysterious reason that we're all kind of leaning towards, that's a huge issue. And any team that's drafting might use that as a concern. Now they might just draft him no matter what, because, hey, we'll deal with it and maybe we'll turn him around, or maybe this is just, a now. And I don't know. But we'll definitely see what happens. The other topic I want to quickly touch on is the tanking. We actually talked a lot about that in our last show, but the Utah Jazz, we already know they got fined $500K. The Indiana Pacers, they got fined $100K for different tanking reasons. But when we look at the Utah Jazz, obviously we know that Jaren Jackson Jr., he's out for the season. He got season-ending surgery. What I thought was hilarious, before we even get into Lauri Markkanen, I've never heard of this before. Have you ever heard, Jordan, of a player getting season-ending nose surgery? Because that's what Jusuf Nurkic ended up. He's not playing for the rest of the season due to season-ending nose surgery, right? And this
Can he just not wear a mask?
I'm sure he could, and I don't even know if he needs nose surgery. But I mean, this also comes after. I mean, the Sacramento Kings said that DeAndre Hunter is out for the season due to season-ending eye surgery. Like, this is the
It's
thing
out of
that,
control.
I mean, if this was a contending team, right? If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander needed eye surgery or something, he would not be out for the season. He would be back the next week. That's just what would happen, right? I mean, if Luka Doncic needed no surgery, he would be back right away and would just wear a mask. I mean, Joel Embiid has done that twice now in the playoffs, right? After he got hit by both Markelle Fultz and even Pascal Siakam. It's just crazy. And then you have Lauri Markkanen, who is out indefinitely after getting, I believe it was a hip and shoulder injury during practice. We talking about practice. I'm not making the Allen Iverson reference, but first of all, who practices mid-season anymore? And if you do practice, are you going to really let your star player, who has had injury issues the last couple of years, practice much? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So what Adam Silver ended up doing is he said, we don't believe you. We're going to send our own doctors to do an MRI on Lauri Markkanen. Now, clearly they found something, so he is going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. I'm sure the Jazz would have said it's season ending. So maybe this was the middle ground, and maybe they'll still say he's out for the season after these 2 weeks. We don't know. We'll see. But it's just hilarious that Adam Silver is really trying to lock down on this tanking situation. I mean, we even saw recently Rick Carlisle went on, I guess, their local radio station and talked about basically how the NBA tried to essentially force Aaron Nesmith to play, even though he could barely even hold a basketball, where they didn't even want to talk to Aaron Nesmith. They didn't want to talk to team doctors. They just said, well, can't you just medicate him and get him out there? I mean, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, there's it sounds like there's no player welfare. I mean, it's an interesting topic to talk about. I mean, we expressed our opinions, I think, on the last show or the one before that about tanking and just how it affects the team itself. And, I think it comes down to the revenues. Obviously, the NBA wants their best players playing, and if teams aren't going to be playing them, then of course they're going to be coming, because of course they're coming for those teams and being like, hey, like, he needs to play. But when you're getting to the level where it's like there needs to be that level of trust between the teams and the league itself. Like, if they're saying a player is injured, you have to trust it. You can't just go up to the team and say, oh, we'll just medicate him and he's just gonna have to play. Like, I'm sorry, that's a player welfare thing. The guy can barely hold the ball. Like, it's like, for me, that upset me and kind of made me upset, just because the fact that, like, the guy can't the guy physically can't play, and they're trying to say, oh, let him step out on the floor, he can just walk around. And it's like, it's just not, it just doesn't sit right with me.
But you don't even want to talk to the player. You don't even want to talk to team doctors. Like, this is the part that just doesn't make any sense to me. And also, how can you check if a player is truly injured? Like, if I say my leg hurts, how do you check that? It's not like, the mental health topics that we've talked about in years past with Ben Simmons, or even like the Paul George stuff, because obviously you can't check mental health, right? And we take mental health very seriously. But in terms of like a physical injury, you can't always check that, right? If a player can't go, he can't go. Now, when you talk about teams that are tanking, because we obviously know that Utah is trying to tank, right? We know Indiana is trying to tank, right? Some of these teams, we know they're trying to get a top draft pick, whether you're talking about Washington, even Chicago, who lost every single game in the month of February. They're clearly trying to get as low as they can in the standings. When a team has 15 wins, who cares who's playing? I mean, the fortunate part is you're able to afford to go to a game, right? I mean, when the Sixers were awful last season, I mean, I got to go to Sixers games for like $5 per ticket. I mean, it was great, even though I had no idea anyone that was out on the floor, especially for families that can't afford it. It's nice for those folks to finally get to go to a game that's not hundreds and hundreds of dollars per ticket. And especially the teams that are tanking, they don't have that star power. Like, I love Lauri Markkanen, but how many people are saying, I want to go to see Lauri Markkanen, especially when the team has 15 wins, right? When you look at the Portland Trailblazers, again, I love Deni Avdija, but how many people are saying, I want to go see Deni Avdija tonight? No, I mean, when Damian Lillard returns next season, people are going to want to see Damian Lillard, right? These players, I hope they get there one day, but they're just not that, they don't have that box office name yet, right? They're not Nikola Jokic. They're not LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. You can go down the list. Giannis Antetokounmpo, now Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards, right? These guys are box office players that any kid who is a fan of basketball, they want to see them play, right? Those teams that are tanking, they just don't have that yet. Washington, they just don't have that yet. I mean, Trae Young is probably not going to play another game this season. We know AD is not playing this season at all. Hopefully they can get there, but since they have 15 wins, their best players are out, and those best players aren't box office players. I don't think it matters so much. It's when they do get a top player, like let's just say Utah ends up getting Darren Peterson or AJ DeBonsta, then that could be the player that gets fans excited, right? That makes Utah relevant. That makes Washington relevant. That's the whole point of tanking. I mean, Mark Cuban said it recently. The problem in the NBA isn't tanking. The problem is load management, right? When you see Kawhi Leonard have a 30-point game looking like Michael Jordan out there, walking off the court like nothing's wrong, and then you find out he's out for the next 2 weeks, that's the problem. And he's only out for those 2 weeks because of load management. They want to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. That's wrong. Now, if it's one game here or there, I understand that. But that's the problem in the NBA right now. It's load management. I don't think it's necessarily tanking, because tanking is necessary to benefit their franchise moving forward, right? Nobody cares about going to a Chicago Bulls game right now and seeing Gershon Yabusele play, right? Or who else? Josh Giddey or Montes Buzelis, right? Great players. Mad respect for them. That's just not what the average NBA fan is looking for. They want a top pick. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, 100%. Teams will go for the box office name player. I mean, even outside of the draft itself, we saw the Wizards go for 2 box office name players, and we spoke about them when they made those when they made those moves for Trae Young and AD. They're gonna bring in guys, but they're also gonna tank and then bring in another big player, and they'll have like a nice core of whoever they bring in this draft. It's going to be a quality player. Like we said, the draft is super deep. A lot of good college basketball players that are coming through into the NBA this year for next season. But whoever they bring in, they're gonna have a nice core there, and they're gonna bring in people who are gonna want to see them in that core. It's gonna bring in revenue. It's gonna bring in ticket sales, all of that type of stuff, which we talked about before on a previous show. So there's a lot looking forward. Teams do have to tank to get there, but yeah, like you said, load management is such a crucial thing. I don't want to go to a game and then have to see like, oh, this player is out for load management. I should go to the game. If he didn't come off injured the previous game, like they should be playing. That's my opinion.
The focus shouldn't be those tanking teams, right? The focus should be the contenders, right? Like, we should be talking about the Detroit Pistons, who are looking incredible right now. We should be talking about Boston and in the Western Conference, Oklahoma City, right? San Antonio, Houston, right? Denver, Minnesota. We're going to even talk a lot about the Lakers over the next couple weeks, because right now the Lakers, when you look at Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves on the floor, like it's a nightmare. It's horrible to watch. They can't play with each other. So definitely as the weeks go on, we're going to be covering a lot of these teams, seeing where they fit. And yes, as we get closer to the NBA draft, we're going to look at what players fit on these certain teams. Who would fit best in Sacramento? I don't know if there's anybody, but who would fit best in Washington or Utah? It's going to be an interesting conversation. Brooklyn. I always forget that Brooklyn's a team. Yeah, who's going to
Jersey?
The New Jersey Nets. Yes. But it's going to be a fun conversation. We look forward to having it with you. In the YouTube comments, let us know, what are your thoughts on the taking situation? Let us know, who do you see going as the number 1 overall pick? Is it Darren Peterson? Is it AJ DeBonsta? Is it Cam Boozer? Or is it somebody else? I mean, we're going to talk plenty about it over the next several weeks. As always, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, iHeart, Amazon. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, share it all around, right? I'm DJ Sports Zone. As always, we got Jordan Sabel, and we will see you next time. Peace out.
See ya.